Okay, good morning. Good morning sa
Sa inyo.
magandang umaga.
Good day to you all, wherever you are.
Nakaraan na yung June. Ang bilis naman talaga ng panahon.
At least inuulan pa tayo, no? Kahit naghihintay tayo ng ating
May
El
El Nino.
meron tayong napupondong tubig.
Napapansin ho natin yan na siyempre minamasid ho ng mga dalubhasa tungkol sa kung paano ba magiging impact ng El Nino ngayon. Kasi alalahanin natin na pag sinabing El Nino, iba-iba yung impact niyan. Hindi natin mapipredict na
It's not always dry.
or it's not always like masasabi nyo na this model, yung model niya na nasusundan. So nag-iiba-iba yan. Alalahanin natin na yung
Even in
sa
this
pana-
country, di
sa
ba?
panahon.
Iba ang sabi.
Katulad ngayon, sinasabi nila na yung dagat Pasipiko, yung Ocean Pacifico, is already warming up.
Oo. Signs.
Showing signs already. Kaya nakikita na nila yung impact. It's a worldwide thing. It's not something that's just local. Because it's such a huge body of water that's being affected. We're not looking at just something close to the Philippines, but it's a worldwide phenomenon. So it only means it will affect so many different parts of the world, including us, and how it would impact people's way of life, pangkabuhayan nila, where they live, yung mga bahay nila, kung saan sila naninirahan. So many components.
Although today we're focusing on the food.
Yeah, kasi Nutrition Month ang July.
Food, yes.
Nutrition Month ang July. So we have to also consider many factors because the way it has been in the last many years, in a modern world, we find that most of us don't really grow our food anymore.
Oo, bihira na yan.
Yeah. And then it's only a small percentage of the population that actually are tasked to grow food. Now, here in the Philippines, for example, we have close to, I think 10% or 15% of the population are really directly farmers. Tapos, siyempre, meron silang families. Tsaka meron kayong fisher folks. Now, with the population of 110 million, so you see the percentage mababa. So that's why you find importation of food is a major thing that the government would do to continue or at least to be able to feed the population. Now, when these things happen, it only means that we leave the most basic need in the hands of others. So that means
ourselves.
That means hindi natin masasabi na madidikta natin yung the cost of our food. Nakikita natin ang pagbabago ngayon. So ang ating presidente, sinabi niya, si Presidente BBM, sabi niya, nung sa kampanya niya, I would want to bring the price of rice at 20 pesos. If you add all of it, you try to get, if you're a farmer or you're a scientist who deals with these things, you will find it doesn't add up. Kasi you formulate the fertilizer, cost, you try to put it together, then you have, then batuhan nyo pa ng risk. Kasi sa risk, there's always 30%. Any agriculture crop, kunyari tayo yung nagtanim, or I take care of bees, every year, may 30% na this is the risk factor. Even if you're saying, I have been a beekeeper for a very many years and experienced one of that. But there is always a risk factor.
Yes.
Now, then you quantify those things. Then you base your computations on the food issue, which is called the most basic, kumbaga, staple, is rice of the country, in our country. So nakikita natin na talagang it doesn't add up. If you are going to compute to 20 pesos, hindi natin makuha-kuha kasi unang-una yung cost. yung cost nga ng many factors from fertilizer to fuel,
Transportation.
transport to labor, right?
Storage.
Right. Ang dami niyan. Milling. So, it doesn't add up eh. So,
Irrigation pa.
yeah, isa pa yun. Ay, yun ang isang pinaka-importanting
Okay.
component.
Yun ang ating iniisip ngayon lalo.
Right. So, that's why when you have risk factors that comes your way, if you're growing food, like now, you have fuel costs went up, fertilizer costs went up. So that means seed costs will go up because you're dependent on others.
Apektado.
Then you have El Nino coming your way. So will I have 2 or 3 crops this year? A farmer would ask himself.
Cannot promise.
Or do I only have 1? So that means there's so many variables in the...
Parang stressful masyado yung buhay ng farmer. Ano?
It is very stressful.
Walang sigurado eh.
Yeah, sa panahon natin kasi ngayon, wala ka nang masasabi na meron kang, you're sure na may sigurado ka. It's changing so much.
Kahit yung prices sabihin mo, sa fuel na lang, di ba? This week tataas, next week bababa, tapos tataas pa. Ganyan eh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and
Kahit-
population growth.
Okay, we're still growing. As a
We're still
country.
growing as a country. At saka medyo yung
Aging also.
aging and ano, yung population growing. So that's why 40% of our population is below 30 years old.
We have more old and more young, but the really
The median.
working ones
Right.
are less. No?
So the stress is on all sides. Kapag sinasabi natin na ganito, I sometimes feel like when I needed to share to all of you the difficulties faced by everyone in the field of food, from government to farmers to middleman to manufacturers, and then definitely when it gets to the consumers,
Yun, hirap talaga.
quality of food becomes
Big issue.
big issue.
Kasi ang nagiging foremost sa mind ng mga tao, paano ipagkakasya sa budget?
Right.
So we're going for the cheaper, not necessarily the better food.
Right. So your choices becomes very limited. In the world today, it is ang mentioned nga, there are only 8 main staples. Right? Nabanggit ko to in the past.
Yung rice, wheat, corn,
Maize.
soy, ano pa yung isa?
Oats.
Oo.
Hindi, marami. Basta yung, hindi natin kasi staple ang oats eh.
Oh, but you're talking around the world. The whole
Around the world, corn.
Oo.
Yan, mga staples yan, ano. But kakaunti yan for a population of 7 or 8 billion people.
Plus yung oats is not directly for humans, pati corn, di ba? It's for the livestock.
Ang oats,
Mhm.
no, actually it's when other countries grow it directly for humans, but it's also being used for livestock. It's also being used. Soy is the same.
Oo.
A bulk of the soy is being used for the animal industry.
O kaya nga may nagsasabi na kung yun lang lahat para sa tao, wala tayong gutom.
Right. And it also has to do with land use. Yung gamit ng lupa. So when we speak on nutrition and climate, one has to understand to be broader in our perspective of this, simply because it takes a good balance in climate to be able to produce nutritious food. It has to be tama. You see, when you do your adaptation and adjustments, ang basihan niya, on the end of the day, if there's too much rain, it's not good. If there's too much, it's only drought or heat, it won't work.
Oo.
Kulang yan. Kasi
Kulang yung flowering,
we're not only looking at
fruiting.
the component of the plant itself,
Mhm.
but what supports the production. It has to do with nature.
Can you give us like specific example?
For example,
Oo.
I'm a beekeeper, so I can tell you the variables of production of honey, or just as I farm. I have my people working in the fields.
Yeah, we have rice grown.
Rice, adlay, many of
Beans.
our food is being grown now, and even fruits. That's why diversification is always really good. And since we went to a monocrop, kumbaga na isa o dalawa lang ang tinatanim ng ating magsasaka. So with the differences occurring in our climate, you will find the variables are also unpredictable. So let's say in the bee industry, this harvest season, recently, itong nakaraan lang, it was shaping up to be a really good one this summer kasi we saw that there was a normal rainfall.
Oo, may araw, pero uulan. Tapos
Yeah,
may araw ulit.
bago namulaklak yung mga puno. It was a good rainfall. Makikita niyo yan sinusukat ko yan yung, ano ang naging rainfall this year? May ganon Anong region? Anong lugar? Nasaan yung bees mo? Right? May ganon, Or, so nangyari, but normally the honey season stretches until the early July. Ngayon, this time, from March,
March to July sana.
the peak started in the middle of April. It peaked for a long time hanggang, sabi nyo, middle of May. Then it started to rain. So that means the blooming pattern, even the insects are also making their adaptation. Kasi for nectar to be produced by trees and plants, para yung mamulaklak, the heat of the sun is so important. Just as in rice, or let's say I'll finish with the bees. So umulan na ng umulan. So that means the blooming pattern of the trees nabago.
Tsaka pag naulan, di sila basta makalipad din yung bees.
Yeah. So you'll see changes immediately. Ngayon, when you are doing stock production, meaning you raise queens for what you're using, normally
You want more bees.
there's a pattern of schedules you follow when the colonies have to be very strong. And that's always towards the end or in the middle of the peak of the honey season. Sinasabay niyo dyan.
May timing yan lahat.
Inulan. So many of the conditions of producing better stocks are affected. So now,
Negatively affected.
this is where adaptation and adjustments, whether you can say that I am running a resilient or sustainable livelihood, when you have this situation on climate, again, that's so hard to say, I have a sustainable guarantee that my livelihood will survive. Then another one,
Marami kang strategy.
Right.
Oo.
on my side, because being a pioneer beekeeper, your adaptation, your stock improvement, a lot of that comes into play. But,
Kumbaga sa experience, somehow or other, tayo yung nakakaraos.
but
At we get honey.
let's look at the beginning beekeeper or just as the farmer who has limited resources and experiences.
Honey.
Or yung field niya limited, tubig limited,
Tsaka
kakayahan
hindi pa siya
niya.
masyadong magaling magtansya.
Even if marunong siya magtansya, which normally a lot of them have that potential, because ang tagal na niyan generations of rice farmers na sila Hindi naman sila yung baguhan lang And dito niyo nakikita na yung kanilang, pag nagbabago ang panahon, sila mismo they're in dilemma. You see, wow, because we have limited capabilities. And I cannot just say I can adapt or make changes in what I have been used to. Yeah, this is where education comes in, and many of them tend to just veer away from new things. For example, production of your own seeds. That many of them are reliant now from government supplying them the seeds that they need. So, puro subsidy yan na yan.
Dati kasi yung traditional rice, madali lang maggawa ng sariling
Yeah.
seeds. So,
Yeah.
iba na yung kanilang tinatanim ngayon.
Kaya ngayon, nakikita nyo, kahit yung mga dalubhasa sa palay, sa bigas, sabi nga sa akin ng isang kaibigan ko, is one of the main consultant and he's a rice scientist, sabi niya. Alam mo, nung araw, we had 3,000, the seed banks namin.
3,000 varieties.
Varieties of rice.
Wow, where did it all
And
go?
now, we're only working on 10.
Wow, ang daming nawala.
So you'll see. All of those have been around, yeah. Inbred seeds yan eh. Of different lines. But they're only are using a certain amount. Now, a question for most of us, why?
Oo, ba't nawala lahat yun?
Nandun naman eh. Nakatago lang sa seed banks. Eh.
Oh,
Pero, ba't ginagamit lang yung 10?
Oo nga, yun nga. What's happening?
Your guess is as good as mine. May ganyan yan. May mga factors that is beyond our, kumbaga, a small farmer's capacity to cope. On my side, I make an effort. That's why I deal with so many different people who are experts in the field of rice seed production. I keep glued at what is new. What are they doing? And they will share with you this information.
Di ba in other countries, marami ng farmers who are trying to save the seeds of their other crops, their
I think
traditional
that's
crops.
how it used to be.
Oo.
So it has to be done that way and it has to be
Security
continued.
also.
So we have to always consider this. We all have to make sure. Kasi kapag yung source ng pagkain natin, tiwalag ang tawag. May alanganin.
Walanganin.
So that means the quality of nutrition that we are expecting to find in our markets.
Kulang din.
Yes. And the variety of food. Diversity of food.
Yes.
The selection of food
Oo.
will be also limited. Kaya nga dito sa atin for example,
Yun,
Pag sinabing-
dito sa La Union.
pag
meron
sinabing
kami
lowland
variety.
vegetables,
Oo.
kalabasa, talong, sitaw,
Kamatis.
kamatis, okra, ampalaya, di ba?
Mga pang pinakbet natin.
Yan ang kumbaga Pero pag pumunta kayo ng palengke, lahat ng market, pag pumunta kayo dyan, pare-pareho yung nakikita natin. Pag ito naman ang gulay bagyo, repolyo, beans, carrots,
cabbage,
patatas, pero yung
cabbage,
cauliflower, hindi natin sigurado. Kasi mahal No. Yung broccoli, mga ganyan yan So
peas.
there's so many variables. But if you account for all of it, how much of the ordinary person, si Juan,
Oo.
pagdating sa choice ng pamimili,
Konti lang.
o yung wife niya, ano pangalan ng pagbabae? Di ba sa Pilipino? Juana? Suggest kayo.
Oo. Marami tayong pangalan. Si
Hindi.
Pepe and Pilar.
Si Pilar, okay. Nakikita niya, si Manang Pilar, okay, pupunta sa palengke yan. Baguio, native.
Kung alin ang
Pero
mura.
kahit na sinabi mong native, may ganyan. Native ba na tinanim sa inyong probinsya, sa inyong bayan, o native na galing sa iba pang bayan?
Hindi na yung native masyado.
Hindi, kahit na native yung kulay, local, pero galing sa ibang probinsya, tinanim doon.
Pa yun, mahal na
Tinransport.
yan.
So, kaya pagdating natin, o kaya katulad ngayon dito sa amin, halos kasi ang daming kawayan dito So
Oo.
ngayon, may labong. Yan.
Ayun, bagbagkong.
May bagbagkong.
Ano po yan? Mga bulaklak.
Ito ay mga native
Oo,
ng mga
native.
pagkain. Pero yan, hindi ganun karami. Hinahanap mo yan. Gabi, hinahanap mo yan. Kamote ngayon, selling dito sa aming lugar.
Kasi,
80 hanggang 90 pesos ang kamote. Kaya pagdating ng ibang lugar yon,
napaka-doble-doble na.
100 pesos, 120. Pag dumating sa Manila yan, 200 na.
Baka mas pa.
By then, si Pepe at si Pilar Si Manang Pilar, hindi na makakabili ng what are my, kumbaga pwede siyang,
Kulang na yung
pwede siyang,
ingredients niya.
she has that, kumbaga option to select the most nutritious. She doesn't have that option anymore. So when you talk about
Unless they're
nutrition,
smart and they have malunggay sa backyard nila.
magtanim na kayo ng malunggay, magtanim kayo ng katuray.
Ba't po malunggay? Kasi malunggay all year round yan. At napakasustansya kumpara sa maraming gulay.
Right.
Oo,
Kung hindi nyo
safety
kainin yung
lang.
bunga, kainin nyo yung dahon. Oh, ngayon, ang dami na. There's malunggay, moringa. Yeah, it's a $6 billion business in the world today.
Bago lang nila na-discover yan.
Kasi because
Sa ating ano na yan.
because of its very
Sustansya.
napakasustansya na pagkain niya. Right?
Tsaka parang gamot na rin ho siya. Makakatulong yan magbaba ng blood sugar ninyo, ng blood pressure ninyo, ng cholesterol.
So
Diba? Ang dami niya
it is-
nagagawa.
We're sharing this with you because it's Nutrition Month. What options do you have? You know, are you
Napakadali pang itanim.
if you
malunggay.
you have that capacity, you just stick the malunggay there. You can get tea, you can get so many things. It can be turned into
Pati
powder,
Fruit niya kinakain.
kain lahat. So this is why it's called the miracle tree. So, may mga ganyan tayo.
Madaming vitamin A, vitamin C, iron.
Talo lahat. Talo ang carrots, talo ang vitamin,
Oo.
lahat talo.
Ang dami.
Very good talaga.
Siya.
So these are, kumbaga meron kayong panlaban. Ngayon, dito sa aming lugar, saluyot.
O yan, isa pa yan. Sobra siyang masustansya. Kinukuha na rin ng Japan yung ating mga gulay. Natuwa sila sa galing yan. Para sa ating health, no? Tayo na lang kailangan ma-appreciate din natin yung saluyot. Huwag lang dito sa Ilocos country, Ilocos region. Lahat ho tayo makikinabang sa saluyot.
Tapos talbos ng kamote.
Lahat ng talbos, napakabuti.
Right. So nakikita niyo ho, mayroon mga different possibilities na hindi niyo kailangan ng malalaking lupain
Oo.
para meron kayo pang araw-araw, ang tawag natin dyan, nutritional fix. Superfoods kasi.
Yung talbos ng sitaw, most people, they don't really eat that. Ang alam lang nila yung sitaw. Pero
Oo nga.
talbos is also very good. At masarap.
Kasi we need this nutritional fix. We don't,
It fixes our bodies.
right. So, even if there are limited choices sa inyo, but meron kayo somehow a nutritional fix, ang tawag. Imbis na bumibili kayo ng vitamina, napakamahal naman, meron na kayo sa inyong mga bakuran.
Oo, hindi ko kailangan mag-supplement.
Oo, yun ang importante. So, meron tayong ganyan na posibilidad na ginagawa natin. Kasi yung mga yan, yung mga halaman na binanggit ko, sa sarili lang nila, konting diligling yan, nabubuhay yan on their own. It's nature's gift to us.
Kahit yung alugbati, di
Yun,
ba?
isa pa yun. Ngayon,
Ano pa niya sa
ngayon hindi mo na makita masyado yun.
Ang dali.
Nawawala na yun. Meron yung sa Ilocano, ang tawag namin yung aludig or amaranth.
Ano nga yung local na, may Tagalog for that?
Ano yun? May, alam niya yung kulitis.
Ayun, kulitis. Medyo matinik, no? Pero meron din kain na walang tinik.
Walang tinig. Katulad yung mga yan, they're
Very
weeds.
Sustansya.
They're basically weeds. They're not,
Talo yan mga kale-kale nila.
laban na
Kulitis
niya.
na lang.
So there are of many of this which grows a whole lot during this rainy season. Kaya ako pinag-uusapan itong mga pagkain na to. Actually, lahat ng sinabi ko sa inyong mga listahan yan, malunggay, talbos ng ang kamote,
Oh.
no?
Oh, don't forget kangkong.
Kangkong,
Yan. Very
you know,
nutritious.
yung
form of
colitis,
kangkong.
gabi. Okay? Mga mainstay yan sa likod, nandyan lang palagi yan. Hindi yan inaalagaan. Konting alaga lang yan. Kunyari, ang gabi, no? O kaya kangkong. Kunyari, meron pa yung, alam niyo yung tubig na galing na yung second or third use na yun ng tubig. Kumbaga,
Pinadigo.
nagre-recycle kayo. Alam niyo, you
Kunti lang kailangan niya.
just have a small impounding.
At saka meron naman,
Kangkong,
may kangkong na hindi kailangan masyadong tubig.
hindi sila. Ang
Growing
kangkong
in the
kasi,
soil.
kahit saan siya tumutubo, kahit kanal yan, yung halaman, proven na yan, science, ano na yan, science proven,
Yeah.
na hindi nagbabago yung content niyan.
Actually, it might grow in dirty water, pero siya yung gamot sa mga sakit na nakukuha sa dirty water. Ganun kagaling ang kangkong.
Kunyari kayo taga Cordillera. Di ba doon eh?
Watercress.
Oo. Hindi, nung araw, yung sayote was just
Weeds lang siya sa
namimigay
amin.
namimigay lang kami ngayon. Dito sa bayan namin, 60, 70 pesos lang sayote. Nung araw, pinamimigay lang yan eh. Nilalagay sa dami ng sayote mo.
Po kaming sayote sa labas.
Sa ako, nilalagay ng gate. Bahala kayo kung sino kumuha.
Oo.
You know, that it's a common thing that we share. But ito may mga ganyan na pagkain. When we're in nature, kumagana ito yung mga nature's wonder.
Oo, nutrient dense.
Nutrient
Sobrang
dense siya.
nutrition.
Tapos, punta ka pa sa mga ibang Pilipinong sanay tayong pagkain. Mga patola, upo. Minsan akala natin parang... Tapos, pagdating sa...
Akala, tubig lang ang laman nun eh.
Oh,
Pero actually,
yun pala, hindi. Dami yung sustansya. Tapos, syempre, yung kalabasa natin. See, then you have,
bulaklak ng
kung meron kayong
kalabasa.
malaki-laking kunyaring lugar, then you can grow munggo. Then you can grow other things. You integrate it in your garden. Then, you can put a couple of papaya trees, couple of banana trees.
Kahit konti lang ang nakakaengganyo siya.
I'm speaking on wanting to share with you the wonders and the pleasures when you know where the food you're eating is coming from.
Yeah, when you're growing the
When you're
food that
growing
you
it.
are cooking and eating.
And you are assured that this, when
May,
it's,
may ulam kayo
yeah,
lang.
not only that, but it's also, I
Masustansya.
nurture this, I use recycled, kumbaga fertilizer, organic, recycle ko lahat, ginagamit ko lahat, nothing gets thrown away, everything is being used, okay? It only means I'm doing my part, not only for my nutrition, and also to help balance the climate issues. You see, a lot of these things, let's say if you think of climate, you also have to think that one of the biggest contributing factors sa climate change is the food that we eat throughout the world. The food production, where it's grown, how it's grown. Ano nga yan eh? Kaya nga, when you say climate change, itugmaan nyo, diet change.
O yan, talaga.
If you change your diet, you eat less animal products, eat more green and grains. The land use, the dynamics of land use changes completely.
Oh,
The dynamics of water usage completely changes.
yes.
See, there are these factors there eh. Kaya nga pag sinabi niyong nutrition and klima,
Konektado.
konektado siya ang dalawa.
Kahit to the way we cook food, halimbawa yung oil, no, mahilig tayo magprito. Ngayon po, ang pinakamaraming oil sa ating market, palm oil. Yan ho, para magkaroon ng palm oil, ang dami po nilang pinapatay ng mga forest para mag-grow.
If they're converting a sustainable system
Destroy
that
it.
will
Oo.
balance, that helps contribute to the balance of the climatic conditions. Kasi the forest, yan ang ano eh, dyan generate yung moisture eh. Tapos ano rin siya, heat. Kumbaga na,
Na-absorb niya.
na-absorb niya yung heat,
Oo.
binababa niya yung temperature. Pangalawa,
Tapos bibigyan
pangatlo,
ng tubig.
tubig, nutrition. Kasi tayo ngayon ang ating gobyerno, even ito nga, nanonood ako ng news eh. Nakita ko si Presidente BBM, nakita natin, tapos nandun si Senadora Villar. Many years ago, in one of my meetings with the Senadora, I was telling her, we have to transform our agriculture. And we have to start to be more nature-friendly in our agriculture.
Mm-mm.
We have to consider that everything that we need to be able to feed ourselves is provided by nature. So that only means we're not thinking of our own harvest. We're also thinking how to make the harvest sustainable, continuous, not only for my generation, but for all the generations to come. So recently, I think this was about only 2 weeks ago, it's the news.
Oh.
It's all about the soil,
Yes.
soil health. So how do you keep the soil healthy? How do you maintain a healthy soil? When you say healthy soil, you go not think of what's in the soil anyway.
Oo. Isipin natin.
Di ba yung katawan natin di ba may tubig, may apoy, yung elements, di ba? May earth, right? Same in nature. Di ba sa loob ng katawan natin meron tayong tinatawag na good bacteria.
Yung mga probiotics.
Probiotic.
Sabi, we should take
Yung nagdadigest ng ating, tumutulong sa digestive health natin, are all bacteria in our gut.
Yeah. Good bacteria.
Good bacteria. So it is so important for us to also look at the other component. Sa kalupaan,
Ganon din.
there are good bacteria. They're called soil biota. That fixes,
Lahat ng mga
that
living
converts
things there.
so that the plants can easily absorb the nutrients that's in the soil. And also with the presence of this soil biota, the nourishment of the natural growth in the earth, right,
Takes place.
takes place because
Tsaka it keeps it moist, it keeps
That's
it
it.
aerated.
may
Diba?
aeration, may hangin na nagpa-flow, tapos meron siyang magandang moisture. So, nabubuhay ng husto at ng maganda yung ating lupa. Living soil, kumbaga, it's full of different organisms. Tapos, yung mga nahuhulog na dahon o yung mga gulay na nabubulok, idagdag nyo na yan. Pag ma-healthy ang inyong soil biota, dagdag nyo na rin yan yung earthworms.
Pero teka muna, paano tayo magkakaroon lahat niyan kung ang farming natin chemical?
Ayun nga, kaya nga sinabi transformative agriculture
Kailangan talaga.
Kailangan i-transform natin. Kasi kung hindi, kahit anong formula ang gawin ninyo, hindi nyo na mababalik yung production ng araw. Kasi yung ating capacidad ng ating nature o yung biocapacity na tinatawag natin,
The
hindi na.
ability of nature to give us what we need.
Right.
Wala na.
Imbalance na. Malayo na.
Sensitive na tayo.
So that means, parte natin, what do we do? How do we guarantee that we have nutritious food?
Ayun na, transformative.
Water.
No, parang kung pwede lang i-erase yung mali natin.
Kasi transformative agriculture
Change.
deals with 4 components.
Oh.
1, it has to be sustainable.
Okay.
That means it's nature friendly. It's environment friendly.
Kasi yun naman ang nag-sustainable
Right.
yung nature.
Second, it has to be inclusive. That means everybody at home should learn to garden.
Okay.
Everyone that goes to schools should learn to garden.
Regardless of color, race,
Age,
gender. Oo.
children,
Tumulong.
kuyas,
Oo.
mother, father,
Tita, tito, lahat
you
na.
indulge in it. Inclusivity yan. Lahat kasama kahit lola because it's healthy for you.
All,
You know?
all of us.
All of us. Hindi yan, si mama na lang gagawa niyan. Si ganyan na lang gagawin yan. Si ganun na lang yan.
We'll do our part.
We have to do it in such a way that because such practice of inclusivity educates the most youngest and the most oldest continues to learn some more. Okay, number 2 na yan.
Talaga, tulungan. Cooperation.
Okay. Number 2.
3 na.
3 na. Sige, number 3.
Mm.
It has to be creative and innovative.
Yan. Yun na, yung 3 and 4.
Right?
May
Creative.
paraan.
Tapos, hindi, may apat pa eh.
Innovative and creative is in one.
One yan eh.
Okay.
Alright. Pang-apat,
Hmm.
if you're not into agriculture, meaning it has to be healthy and nutritious.
Okay.
So, kung tayo sa bahay, maliit lang yung plot natin, tandaan natin yung apat na yun.
So, piliin mo
So,
talaga.
gagawin mo.
Gagawin mo ron.
Ihalo mo sa garden yung kung ano yung kagubatan, ano yung diversified yung iyong
Plot.
plot.
Hindi lang isa ang iyong tatay.
O, lalagyan mo ng kamote,
Oo.
lalagyan mo ng malunggay, lalagyan mo ng kulitis.
Oo.
Yeah? Kasi yung mga halaman na yan,
They live with each other.
right,
Oo.
pwede silang,
Yeah.
tapos nagtutulungan sila, tapos nagbibigay din sila ng sustansya sa lupa at saka ideal condition para yung soil biota ng ating mga maliliit na hardin, kahit maliit lang na plot yan.
Kahit isang square meter lang yan, kailangan pa rin niya ng sustansya.
Tsaka, alam niyo ba, hindi ba, kahit sa halaman mayroong mga halaman na parang ayaw nila may kasama. Pero mas maraming halaman,
Sama-sama.
sama-sama.
May nabasa ko just the other day, I was reading about wildlife. Sabi doon, trees and plants live together. And they also die together.
Right together. And you add.
Kaya importante, sama-sama sila.
Kaya dagdagan niyo pa ron. Trees and plants and the other wildlife. Insects, birds,
Tulong-tulong.
lizards,
Frogs.
frogs.
Oo.
Ang dami-dami.
Dragonflies.
Iba-ibang klaseng mga insekto. So, when we, actually, kung kayo ay may mga ganyan na mga hardin, it's actually very, alibang. It's so nice, actually. It feels really good. Why? You can see how the intricacies of nature, no matter how small your plot is. And kahit na meron kayong mga maduduming tubig na, yung recycled na tubig na, huwag nyo nang itapon, sa kanila lang nyo na ibigay. Alam niyo, may paraan sila. Kung sama-sama sila na may ganito, si kangkong. Sige, si kangkong, magsusurvive sa ganyan yan. Yung surplus tubig niya, yung moisture dun sa buong lugar kung saan sila nakatanim ng iba-ibang halaman, hindi nadadamay na.
Pati yung malunggay, ha?
Same, malunggay is a filter. It's a yung roots niya filters.
Even the leaves that fall to clean the water.
So these are things that we can consider. Make it fun. Bring back the fun of gardening, but main thing,
Mental health ninyo.
Bring in nature.
Gagaling din.
so we have been given the gift of this earth for us to be the stewards. If we learn to appreciate that we are not the controller, but we can learn to see what has been created for us, right? That brings about healthy well-being mentally, physically, socially, and siyempre in death, spiritually. Because you will find, while we're in this world, we learn to live in harmony with nature and with everybody. And we find peace. So when we connect to that which is more natural, closest to our Creator
Closest to our nature.
and our nature,
Oo.
then we will find that. And you know what? When you start to
Peaceful.
do the right things, kumbaga ginagawa niyo yung mga tamang gawain, it brings about satisfaction, peace, harmony,
Yeah.
and you start to value things. On the end, we shared you so much this morning, and I do hope that many of you will embrace some of the tips that we have shared to you. It's only to make it so, when the environment where you live in has balance, even in your homes, even if you live in the urban places, alalahanin nyo, you can make it a nurturing home full of plants to clean the air inside and outside. Have more, kasi the wildlife around you is also your measure of how stable even in your home small environment is. Kaya nga even in our homes pero ngayon, problema sa mga homes pagdating sa mga areas na wala masyadong natural. Ano ang mga nabubuhay ng mga insekto sa bahay?
Mosquito.
Ano pa?
Ipis!
Yung favorite niya, ma'am. Ipis. Sila na lang yun, the last of them trying to survive.
Ah,
Kaya, kumbaga, pero may role pa rin yan. Dito nga sa amin
ano nun?
hindi ko na-explain. Baka, alam niyo, meron sa amin, yung malalaking gagamba. Kasi
Napakalaki.
nakatira kami sa gubat Minsan, nakita mo, may ipis. Pag nagsinti kayo ng ilaw, kita mo mga ipis nandun. Pero ito na si gagamba. Pero si gagamba,
Dinner time.
hindi, hirap siyang humabol. Ito may paintindi ko sa inyo. Kasi yung gagamba,
Maraming legs.
hindi ba maraming legs?
Marami din mata.
Ngayon, ang problema, pag nagbabago yung paghabulan na, iba yung paa ni ipis at may pakpak, si gagamba wala. So, nung isang gabi, nakita ko to binugaw ko yung ipis. Tapos, nung nahulog siya bigla sa may floor, nakatago doon yung malaking gagamba. Kung!
Ayan.
Kain kagad.
Predator.
So, yung gagamba,
Friend ko yan.
huwag natin. Pero huwag kayong matatakot. Marami naman ng ating gagamba, hindi naman poisonous kahit napakalaki. Nakakatakot lang tingnan.
Yung iba mabuhok pa Meron tayong tarantula sa Philippines.
Pero ito naman, hindi naman common yun So anyway,
We have it.
nakikita ninyo, no matter what, nature, the point I'm saying is, I'm getting is simple. No matter what, there's always something that nature will do and makes,
Balance.
Oo.
Check and balance.
no matter how horrid the situation may be, wag lang talaga yung mga highly toxic na, environment. Siyempre, may mga limits din sila.
Kailangan lang intindihin natin what nature's trying to do and let's just go along with it. Huwag
Right.
natin labanan.
You see, when we talk about good nutrition, nature already provided us for everything we need.
We're just looking in another direction.
Yeah. Kunyari, like,
Sa mall tayo naghahanap.
so may yung habits, yung ways natin nagbago na. Kaya, let us go back. Minsan kaya ang kasabihan go back to basics.
Yes.
Let's retrace
Our steps.
our steps. What are we doing wrong, or what way may have we done wrong? But it doesn't mean that we cannot correct that. We can.
Ah,
Because at the end of the day, it is the fate of the generations to come, the fate of the planet, the environment we live in. Problems we are faced today, water shortages, all has to do with certain things. Overconsumption.
so it's good talaga. Simplify na lang natin.
Right. To
No?
simplify, we minimize, lessen all the things that we really don't need.
Mm-mm.
And in that way,
There'll be enough for everyone.
there'll be enough for everyone. Small is beautiful. It doesn't have to be always be big. It doesn't have to be always plentiful. Keep it practical, make it so that
Keep it simple.
and simple, and let us not always, alam nyo, the simpler it is, the easier it is for us. We have less burden.
Yes.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I hope we have shared with you
Something you
something that has to do with nutrition. And like even at home, you remind your children or everybody in the family, you say, July is a nutrition month. In the workplace, July is a nutrition month. So let us,
be more mindful.
mindful. Let's talk amongst the family members, or the workplace. Pag-usapan. Or even if you have restaurants and places where people will go, lagyan nyo ng pastel. Remind people. And you yourself, People like to go eat in restaurants. Eh?
Yeah, make your menu more nutritious.
Yes, it's Nutrition Month. Bring the awareness to everyone, right?
Okay.
And make it so it works. Thank you so much. Okay.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, go Palakas! Hari ko